In today's video, we are going to discuss the thinking developing patterns, how to develop your thinking patterns, how to develop your understanding of the position of the structures. And if you know the patterns, you will know that how to make a plan, how to generate a plan from a position which is totally dryish or dead, or a position is very complicated. Then you will, if you know the patterns, you will understand that where the placement of your pieces are best suited. So let's start with the game. This game was played between Rana Hume and Atik, and it starts with the move e4. I'm going to flip the board at with the black side. It would be easy for me to let you people understand about it. c6, d4, and d5, and this is the actually the Caro defense. I will make another video in which I will explain the concepts behind the Caro, but today we are only going to stick about the positional understanding, how to positionally think about a position. So knight c3, it is actually a very sharp line of Caro. Pawn into pawn, knight into pawn, and bishop to f5, threatening this knight over here and developing the piece. Knight goes out of the way of the bishop. Bishop comes back to g6, and the move f4. It is threatening to move the pawn to f5, and this is called basically a Marcozy attack. In Marcozy structures, the pawns are rather on f4 or e4, or on e4 or c4. So the response is e6, holding back from developing this pawn or moving this pawn to f5. Knight f3, and knight to d7. I was playing with black here, and this move was a punch actually for me. I have played against this move, but very occasionally, not in routine. So after this, I have no idea that how to make a plan, and I made the move. The mistake was that I made the move without a clear idea in my mind. The basic idea in these type of positions are to go with a plan actually. And if I have given thought, actually this was a blitz game 5+3, but if I was aware of when you are playing words and you don't know how to take your position, take your pieces with you during the game, then the result is obviously you lose, and I lost this game. The idea of here was that knight is coming, or black's knight is obviously coming over here, and you can't stop it. And in future he is going to play the bishop to d3, hitting this bishop over here, asking white whether to exchange it or whether to hold it. The pawn will move to c3, protecting this pawn on d4, and the queen might move to this, and here the castle, and this rook has this half open file to attack. Here the white played with a plan, although he made mistakes, but he played with a plan, and black did not play with a plan in his mind. This bishop might be coming over here. Uh, to avoid the threat of exchanging this pawn whenever this pawn moves over here. There are too much arrows. The idea behind, we first discussed that it's black's move, and his idea must have been like this: queen to c7, queen to d6, and knight to e7. This was the better, as queen here is hitting this pawn on f4, and the bishop will also be hitting this pawn on f4, and this knight on e7 would be protecting this d5 square and f5 square to stop the movement of white's plan, which he is going to make, and that playing f4. So this is a plan, and the point was to have a plan over here. And when I played this game, I actually just responded to the plan of the white and not in a proper way. I just responded to the moves of white, not his plan. That was the issue that I lost this game. And here, white played the move c3, strengthening this pawn chain. Knight h6. I made this move. Although this move is protecting this pawn on f5, but the reason behind it was that I did not have the concept. The main concept over here was this move is playable. This is a sideline. This move is playable. But the plan was to move this knight to f5, sorry, and then to d6, controlling these squares, c4 and e4 in the white's territory. And in future, whenever white goes for the thirst of playing the moves like knight to e5 and then h3 and g4, this knight would be out of the harm's way. And this is the plan. This is the positional understanding, that how a grandmaster think of a plans. And when I played this move, I was just protecting this square, that I am going to stop white from playing this move. I had no clear idea that if this knight is stuck over here for long, then it will be completely stuck. It will be completely out of the game. So white played a good move, and that was bishop to d3, asking black whether you want to exchange it or whether you want to keep it, or you want to double it your pawns over here. Bishop to d6, good move. Castle and castle, and knight e3. These all are good moves. Knight e7 and h3. Now see, white is coming with it over here. He is hitting the black's king side, attacking over here. Now it was the time to go for this knight maneuver, to go over here. But what I thought was, I was just thinking that I am going to play this and knight would exchange it, and my bishop would be here, and that is a mistake. That because after these moves, my two pieces over here are threatened. So knight f6 it was a mistake. Instead of it, I should have gone for knight f5. The plan, the positional plan the pattern of thinking. After g4, knight d6. See, I told you that this move knight to h6 is playable till the time you have a plan in your mind. You want to maneuver your piece from here to here. Now it is better over here. It is hitting the knight on e4 and is controlling this c4 square. And if he is threatened in any case by the moves like c4, c5, then he can move just back to over here. Knight g3 was played in the game. Sorry, it was the best continuation. Bishop into d3, queen into d3, and queen c7. Now see, here every black piece is doing something. This knight on d7 is controlling this. That if you will move this knight over here, I may take it. If you take it with it, no problem. Then my bishop is free to go over here. Or in future, I am going to move this pawn. We go back to our main position where we made the mistake. And its response white also made the mistake over here. Because if he has thought something, knight into knight, I can't take with this bishop over here. Because white is going to play the move this. g4, then might be f5 or g5. Or maybe he's going to roll this pawn over here. This knight and bishop is stuck over here. Let's go over the continuation, which was the best continuation which had to be played in the game. Sorry. After knight f6, knight f2, that was a mistake. Knight into f6 was better. Here I had to take it with the pawn. I can't take it with the bishop. The reason behind is after g4, bishop into d3, queen into d3, bishop e7, and f5. See, sorry, really very sorry. See here, if white had thought deeply, Rana Kijum had thought deeply, this bishop is directly hitting this knight over here. And this knight has no way to go. This is, there is pawn of black over here on f7. Here is pawn on f4. Here is pawn on g4. Here is king on g8. That can't go anywhere. And when the bishop will take, this will be doubled. Pawns will be doubled. And in the next time, the white may think of plan like moving his rook to f2 to h2 or g2 and bringing his next rook over here to f1, something like that. The knight might come out of the way by playing knight to e5 sorry, and queen g3. Simple. And black is ruined actually. So after knight into f6 check, we have to take with the pawn g into f6, g4. Still white is going with this plan. This is the position under attack. A good position always calls for the attack, and black has a good position. This bishop is eyeing this diagonal on h2. This bishop will come for the support of this pawn whenever black moves his pawn to this square c5, and this queen will join the fight. After the knight would move out of the way like h2, and queen will come to f3 and then to g3, etc. So bishop into d3 was played, queen into d3, king h8. It was not played, it is actually analysis, and f5. Now see that after taking this pawn, black's position is basically cramped. Just see the pawns over here and this bishop, and especially this bad knight. Instead, black's pieces are hitting something. Black's bishop is on the starting square, although it is hitting something. Queen is controlling this diagonal. Knight is controlling these squares. He may come over here. With that, if you take this pawn, I will take this with knight. The file of the rook is half opened. He is controlling something, hitting something. This rook is going to come into play. Everything of white pieces are doing something, and black has to defend it, and he had to make very accurate moves. Okay. Knight to g8, knight f4, see, f4. Now hitting this diagonal, controlling this diagonal and this diagonal, both diagonals. If here white plays f into e6, this is good for black, but he needs very accurate moves to handle it. F into e6 and bishop f4. Still, white's pieces are very active. Whereas black's knight is again on the starting square, and black's bishop c. What is he doing over here? A computer can play this position, but for a human, it is a very congested position. So we go back to our game. Knight f2 was played in the game, and queen c7. Now this move is played, which was to be played in the opening. Knight f5. Although computer says it is a devise move, but I think for building a pressure, it is a great thing. It is a great move. Sorry, knight f5. And knight d5. And this was a devise move. Let's check out this move, knight to e5. Instead of this, if bishop into bishop, but as per the computer, then pawn into bishop, g4. Now see, this was better for white. Here Ranakiyum did not thought of it, as I have to take it with pawn, and I will prefer to take it with the h pawn, and after that he is going to move this pawn on g4, and these both two knights are stuck over here. I'm saying that I am going to play this move, g4, and you will have to give this one of these pieces. So I would have to play this move, knight to here or knight to here, and see this knight over here. This is a liability for black, and this piece is basically playing for white side, not for black side. So these type of thinking you have to do while calculating. Never overestimate your opponent when you are going to play against him. Always look for the better moves. If you have find the better move, then go for the best move. Look for the unprotected pieces. Of opponents in the opponent's territory. These are the ideas which you should have kept in mind when you're going to make a move, but with a plan. Always make a move with a plan. Never make a move without a plan. Even you don't know what you are going to do, at least you may have a little bit plan in your mind while you are going to make a move. So after queen c7, knight e5 was played, and I have discussed that if bishop into bishop was played, what would happen. Here black also did an accuracy, and he just played the move knight to d5. Instead of it, here it was the time to take this bishop. It was not good for white to take it with the queen. It was better to take it with the knight over here. The reason behind it is that when you take with the knight, it protects this pawn over here on f4. Bishop is also protecting and knight will also protect. And whenever the knight would move here, it does not attack it twice. When you take it with the queen, after the knight moves, and this black is threatening to play the pawn on f6. This pawn on f5 would be unprotected. So these are the types of little bit ideas you should have keep in mind, and you should do practice by doing tactics and by going through over the grandmaster games to analyze them and to understand the ideas behind their moves, why they move that pawn instead of that pawn, why they took the piece with that piece instead of that piece. Like the here, it is better to take with the bishop queen instead of taking it with this knight. So let's go back to our game. After knight to d5, g4, white has a plan in his mind, and basically black was responding with the good moves only. Now bishop into d3 and queen into d3, and this was a blunder. The reason behind it, now this pawn is not protected twice. Black would play this move f6. Knight has to move here, and this pawn is going to fall. Instead, if white has taken this bishop with knight, let's check it, bishop into knight, then only the move black would have to bring this piece, which is not working over here, to the game, and still black's position is cramped due to this knight on h6. After bishop, and black here also did the blunder. He could not see that move, a simple move, that after f6 knight has to go away, and this pawn is unprotected over here. So first, never underestimate your own opponent. Always, before calculating the moves, always see that which pieces, which pawns are protected, unprotected, in the opponent's territory, which squares are unprotected, and where we can place our best pieces. Always keep that in your mind. First, see the unprotected pieces, pawns in your opponent's territory are unprotected squares, and how that you can take advantage of that pawns, unprotected pieces are unprotected squares. Then you devise a plan, and then you make a move. And here the biggest problem we have, that we have calculated something and we just go for it. We don't give another thought to it. In this game, the same thing is happened. I had thought that when he will take with the queen, and I'm going to move my bishop to the f6. I never gave another thought to it. If I have just gave another thought, I would see that this pawn is hanging of white on f5, and I can take it by just playing f6. So always keep that in mind. The things I have taught in this video and I have delivered in this video to you people, that always go for the unprotected pawns, pieces or unprotected squares first, then devise a plan and then make a move. So after bishop f6, knight e4 was played. Instead of it, the simple move was which Rana Kayum missed, and he also go for the that he is from here he is hitting the bishop over here. Instead of it, if we just move the pawn over to f5, this knight, where do you think that it has any square to move to? No. In the next move, bishop is going to take it, and white has to double this pawn, and this file, g file, has opened for white's pieces. So always think clearly. If you see, never always respond to the threats of your opponent. Remember that. Think deep. That is there any counter, or is there any better move, or is there any intermediate move which generates good results rather than responding to the opponent's threats? This is both the black and both the white players in this game. So knight e4 was played, and here now here I was on just 1 minute down. Actually, I was roundabout on 50 seconds when I made this move, and I could not devise a plan of it. I admit. I became into time pressure. I was unable to devise a plan, and this comes, devising a plan, understanding positions, comes with practice, with hard work. And I have not put that hard work or practice before this, because now I am, when making videos, I now understand that how a position works, how the structure works. I'm going to understand them. But before this, I have not placed that kind of hard. And here I was unable to devise a plan. I didn't know that what the position was best, but the move was best. The best move was here to play the move bishop to e7. I saw that this is coming, but in response, I could go for this also. Then this. If he takes this, at least I have these pawns f6, and here I am going to open this side and I can bring this rook over here. Then my bishop might jump over here or here. So let's check out this variation. Bishop e7, knight g5, hitting this pawn twice. Knight f6, a3, a5, knight g f3, knight e8, bringing the knight to best square. Queen e2. Now controlling these squares or moving these pawns. King h8, going to safety. c4. I have developed this attack on king side. Let's also develop an attack on queen side. This is white's point of view. c5, hitting this. Pawn on t5. At least black is now going to counter. This position is difficult to play with black, but black can fold it. Bishop to e3, f6. Here, white knight can't move here. White knight has to go back. Knight to d3. And here at least black has some fight. After taking this, bringing his rook, knight to here. Black has at least fight in this position. Now this knight has an escape square to this. And at any good times, black can play this move to e5. So here you could see that they have a plan. There is a plan on the board, which I was unable to see. So after b6, knight into bishop, pawn into bishop, and knight has to move and knight. This was the blunder. It was better to move the knight, or better to play f5, threatening this knight over here. This knight can't be saved. So knight into pawn, g into f5, and now you take the knight over here. After that, bishop h6 and pawn. Now see, this is the kind of positions you see that white is going to threatening mate over here, and already you have taken a piece with it and you are going to sacrifice it. You know that your queen is on this diagonal where the queen is going to come to give the check and going to mate over here, and you make a pawn move and clarify this diagonal for your queen. These are the type of thinking patterns we should have developed, and these type of thinking patterns to develop, I am making this video for myself and for you people also. So after e4, queen into pawn, queen g3 check, queen goes back, queen into g8, king into g2, rook f e8, rook g1, threatening. Every move is active. King has to move from the way due to this check. And now, first, I don't like your knight over here. The knight has to be moved before taking this pawn on e6. Knight e7, f into e6, f into e6, and king f3. Now see, white positions is much more better than black. The reason behind is that white's king is near center. He can move over here any side, king side or queen side. Now it's an active piece. Whereas this black king is stuck over here on h8. This rook is controlling it. The g5. The time which would be taken by black to get his king active or pieces active, at that time white's PC would be very active. They are not hitting the squares, hitting in air. They are doing something, white's pieces are. But black's pieces, what are they doing? They are doing at present nothing. But still, black has a fight, a difficult one. If he plays properly, he can at least draw this game. So we go back to our game where g5 was played, and that was a blunder. And I blundered also. Why I blundered? Why I made this mistake? Because I have thought already that when he is going to play this move to g4, g5, I'm going to take it. I did not give him the next thought that, oh, my knight is saved. He can't take the pawn over here because this knight can take it. And he has to move his knight over here. And now my position is equal, even better. Black's position is. After that, I am moving my king to over here, and then this rook will come here. Rook will come here, and this rook will double on g5. My pieces have got active. But the reason behind playing this move, pawn into knight, was that I have already thought that I am going to play this. I did not give another thought to this move, that my knight is saved. He can't take this pawn. Knight can take it. He has to move his knight back. A knight here. So the next point, the main point I am going to teach here also, is that when you have thought of a plan and you have made the first move, and when the opponent has responded, you should give next thought to your plan, to your move which you have thought already. There might be a better one. There is always a best move in a position. So to e5 was played. That was a mistake. Pawn into knight and king h8. Instead of this, I still have a fight in this position by playing this move. f5. I have just planned it before that I am going to move this king to over here. I did not give this move the second thought. If I have just thought this, then I will never move this king to h8 first, and I would have played this move to f5. I know that I was on seconds in this game, but you should be prepared. If I had practiced a lot in the past with the grandmasters games, with these kinds of positions, with every kind of positions, combinations, positional maneuverings, I might have got this move, this f5 move, in an instant, that my position is saved. Now I can try for a draw. But I have just thought that after this, when the pawn on g5 is going to take on h6, I'm going to move my king to h8, which I did in the game and lost. Pawn into e5, and here I still have fight left. Rook g8 check, king h1, king g6, and rook g1. It was a mistake. The reason behind is that when I will take it, this rook is blocked by his white's own bishop. And I would have the time to develop this rook and bring his rook into action and this queen. But I just blindly, what I did, I doubled the rook over here, just blindly. Now properly here I was just on seconds, 2-3 seconds. The game was 5+3 and I was on just 2-3 seconds, 2-3 seconds. In 2-3 seconds I was making these moves. Rook into g6, f into g6. A wrong move. Why to open up this file when you know that the bishop white has is dark scared? It will come and give the check. Instead of it was better to take with the rook over here. Then this king has the scare to run to. And when I took this, when you took this with pawn, then queen comes here and this pawn is going to roll. When this rook will be here, after this move, bishop to g5 and f6. What is this rook doing over here? Nothing. So after f into g6, that was a mistake. Bishop to g5. Rana Abdul Qayyum has a plan, he's an idea here, and he generated it. Sorry. Rook f8, rook f1. Clearing out the last defending piece of this black king. Rook f5. Another blunder. Although white is completely winning over here, but better try was rook into f1 check, queen into f1 and king g8, c4, hitting this knight over here and knight b4, a3, knight coming back to a6, queen f3, hitting this pawn after moving these pawns. A passed pawn for white is created. Queen f7, queen c6, queen f1 check, queen h2, queen c7, knight h4. These are the useless tries. Actually, we go back to our game. Rook f5, rook into f5, g into f5, c4. Now a simple get. You want this care on f6. Which piece protects it? The knight on d5. Threaten it. This is what white did. Knight has to move. Knight e7. Bishop f6 check. Better was queen g3 first. Bishop f6 check. g8, queen g3 check, knight g6, and I don't think that this game requires any further instructions because this knight is going to fall and also the black's position. Black can't do anything over it. Just like this. And I threw the tower. There was nothing in the black's position over here. So after this game you have understood or you have had a little bit idea that what to do when you are going to make a move. You must see the unprotected pieces, unprotected pawns in the opponent's strategy. You have to look for them. Then you devise a plan, and then you make your plan. And then after the opponent's move, you should recheck your move, recheck your plan. So if you had liked my this video, kindly hit the subscribe and hit the bell icon button, and also like the video. Thank you very much.